Join us here today on the Old River Nene at March for a bit of natural water pole fishing. This is a mega popular venue throughout the colder months, and for good reason. The fish proper stack in here and you can have some brilliant day sport. Hopefully today we'll catch loads of small fish, roach and the odd rudd. And if we're really lucky, a few bonus fish like a tench or a bream. I'm going to run you through my thinking behind the tactics and the feeding and the techniques to get the best out of a venue like this. Swim choice is paramount to a start of any session, let alone on a natural water like this. And today I've chosen to sit right opposite the mouth of the marina. The reason for that is marinas are real natural fish holding spots. 9 times out of 10 you're not allowed to fish in a marina, so the fish can go in there, be nice and safe and not be pressured. It's not a really wide venue this, as you can see, and we're hopefully going to be catching plenty of fish, so I want to keep my swim choice nice and simple. I'm going to target 2 areas. I'm going to target a small fish line and a big fish line, simple as that. The small fish line I'm going to put in the deeper water at 7 sections, hopefully catch plenty of fish there and keep it just to 1 line to really concentrate the fish and to catch as many as efficiently as quickly as possible. Then I've got my big fish line. It'll still be in the deeper water but out the way of the small fish line, so the big ones don't scare the little ones, really, simple as that. So we've got our 2 lines, and the way I'm hoping a day will pan out is I feed a bit of ground bait at the start on my small fish line, catch on that for a few hours, then I have a look for a bonus fish where I've been teeing up that line for quite a while. But it's very bright today, the water's very clear. I'm not too sure we're going to get a big fish to be sure, but feed a bit of bait, and the beauty of that big fish line is even if you don't catch a fish, you're resting your little fish line whilst you're fishing that one. So definitely have a couple of lines on the go and see how they pan out and see how the session progresses from there. Bait choice along with the fishing is best kept very simple in my view. So starting with the small fish line, I've got some ground bait, pinkies and squats. The ground bait is the mainline Proactive, just a good all-round cereal ground bait. So that means there's no fish meal in it. This should be appealing to all the fish I'm looking to attract on this line. I've put in 3 balls of this at the start, ram full of squats. I've put a load of squats in the ground bait, so I've made sure I've got some bait on the bottom to attract and hold the fish. And then throughout the day, I'll loose feed either pinkies or squats over the top. That'll be determined by the wind, to be fair. Obviously squats are a very light bait. I might not be able to catapult them out there if it gets really windy, so I've got some pinkies that are heavier and bigger to get out there more accurate if need be. And I've chosen these 2 over maggots because in my experience on venues like this, yeah, you definitely catch some fish on maggots, there's no doubt, but you probably have a lot of spells throughout the day where you wouldn't catch anything because the maggots filled the small fish up, simple as that. So those 2 smaller baits should keep your catch rate ticking over for that little bit longer. Now moving on to the big fish line, got the old faithful combo, worms and casters. I've got 2 types of worms. I've got the great big lob worms and some dendrobinas. I've gone for 2 types of worms because you never know, some days the fish just don't want to eat dendrobinas for whatever reason, so the lob worms can be a real saviour, that's for sure. Then I've teamed those 2 up with old faithful casters. I wouldn't want to fish a big fish anywhere without casters. Brilliant holding power. So you've got the smelliness and attractiveness of the worms, holding power of the casters, brilliant combination. To kick the swim off, I've simply put in pinch of lob worms, big pinch of dendrobinas, chop those up, not too fine because I'm looking to catch big fish. I don't want the little fish to eat all the little bits of worms. I want to leave big bits of worms, then good handful of casters too, and just cup that into the swim. Simple as that. We've been going about 25 minutes, half an hour now, and it's been a good start, to be fair. Started on this small fish line and had pretty much by the chuck. Early doors, they were very small fish. As is often the way with this sort of session, you attract the smallest ones into your peg first with the ground bait. That's a half decent rudd. I've changed a few things about. I'm feeding more pinkies via catapult now. Sort of a good pouch full every second chuck to try and make sure a bit of bait gets to the bottom through those little tiny fish and to hopefully attract some bigger fish. I did start off with my rig set about 1 inch off bottom to sort of offer it up in the early stage of the session to try and put it in front of the fish's face, but now I'm feeding more bait, so I'm hoping some of it gets to the bottom. I'm actually fishing on the bottom now, only by about an inch, but just trying to fish on the bottom, hold my rig a bit stiller to increase the stamp of fish. I have hooked a good fish on this rig as well. Something like a big perch, something like that. It just come off on the way in, unfortunately, but all good signs for later on in the session. So I'll just keep on upping the feeding more bait. I think as the way it's going at the minute, the fish are definitely responding to those pinkies. Half decent perch there. I'll probably give it about another 10 minutes and top up the big fish line with some more worms and casters, but for the time being, just keep on getting plenty of pinkies into my peg via the catapult to try and entice those better silvers in. Let's see how it goes. Efficiency is key when you're looking to build big bags of small fish like we are here today. Just little things like having your pole roller in the right place so you don't have to look back when you ship back, having a pole sock to hand so it's second nature where to pick your pole up from every time you ship out. Other little things to reduce tangles like shipping out with your polo, shipping back with your polo, striking low and to the side. They're all things that are going to help you spend more time in the water, more time catching fish at the end of the day. Rig wise for today's session, I've knocked up 3 rigs. 2 of them are for the small fish line. I'll start off with this one. It's a 0.6 carbon stem plastic tip Mick Wilkinson design. Carbon stems are brilliant for this sort of fishing in my eyes when you're whizzing your pole in and out as quickly as possible. They don't tangle, so it's going to make you a lot more efficient come the end of the session. And a carbon stem, when you lay your rig in, it follows the shot into the water really nicely, really smoothly. And because I'll be loose feeding all day, either squats or pinkies, I want my rig to fall through the water as naturally as possible. So the carbon stem really helps achieve that. This is a 0.6 gram version of the float, shotted with a bulk and a couple of droppers when I want to fish on the bottom or it's getting even windier. So I want to get the rig down quick, or if there's a lot of small fish kicking about and I want to get it through them, that's the rig for that. And the other rig is the same float, it's a lighter version. This one's got, it takes 0.3 of a gram. It's got strung out shotting pattern, sort of tapered up to a sort of a little bulk, but a lot more based on strung out to either fish up in the water or just off bottom and lay your rig in on a tight line. That might come into play later on in the session when there's a few roach about, hopefully. The hooks and line and elastic are both the same. On each rig I've got a 5-inch hook length. There's actually a Pole Special Ready rig, a new one in the range. I've gone for the 22 to 08 version today. Comes in an 8-inch, but I've chopped it down to 5-inch just to make it just right for the day. I've got 013 N-gauge main line. It's a nice compromise between finesse but a bit of durability and stiffness as well. And then I've got a number 5 elastic on both rigs. Again, a bit of a compromise, not too soft, but soft enough so you don't bump fish. The other rig is the bonus fish line. I've got a 1 gram Guru wire stem pinger. A wire stem float on this rig will be a benefit because I'm looking to lower my rig in nice and slowly, hold the rig dead still, quite a bit over depth to try and trick those wary fish. I've got it shotted simply with an Olivet, little 1/2 gram Olivet there, a few shot below it, and a couple of number 8 droppers just to make it as stable as possible. I've actually got a 12-inch hook length on this one because it's ever so clear today, so I want my hook bait to fall as naturally as possible for that last 12 inches to trick those wary fish into nailing my hook bait. I've got a 12 feeder special rig on there. That's actually a ready rig. I've got the 12 feeder special to 015 N-gauge, cut down from a metre to 12 inches. And then my main line is 017 N-gauge up to a white hydro. If I hook a big fish, I want to get it out and set that hook properly. So there's the rigs for the session. Nice and simple, but all got their uses. So we're about 2 and a bit hours in now, and the fishing's quite a bit different now. Plenty of nice rudd like that one I've just swung in. Really up the feed now with the pinkies. I did try topping up with some balls of ground bait, really rammed out with squats. And it worked to a degree, but now these rudd have moved in en masse, loose feeding, lots of bait, and fishing well off bottom. About a foot off bottom now is definitely better. Feeding like every other chuck with a good pouch of pinkies. Feed every chuck, just miss a few bites and get a lot of small fish in your swim. So every other chuck's quite nice. Saying that, I've just missed a bite then, of course, typically. But yeah, fishing well off the bottom, fishing for these rudd. It's turned into a nice session. I've not had a chance to try my big fish line yet, just because the fishing's been so good like this, to be honest. There you go, most of the fish have been like that. But I will top up my big fish line again shortly with sort of about half a pot of worms and casters, just to hopefully keep it primed. But I've a feeling the later on in the day goes, the more of a chance I've got of a fish on that big fish line. Hopefully the sun will dip a little bit, or at least get a bit of cloud cover. It's a bit bright and clear at the minute. Another nice rudd, I think. I've sort of had to adapt the way I'm striking because the wind's so gusty and skimmy. I couldn't really strike up. I was getting in, oh, that's a rudd, that's a perch there. I was getting in a few tangles if you striked upwards because your rig flew out the water and it got caught by the wind. So sort of striking to me left has led to a few more hit bites and just made me a bit more efficient. Because if I was missing a bite while striking up in the air, I was either getting a tangle or you having to lay your whole rig in again. But by striking to the side and not too hard, if you miss a bite, your rig's already laid in again, in effect, if that makes sense. Another point worth noting, feeding quite a bit short of your float has been important. You feed right on top of your float, you're just in amongst all the little fish and you miss a million bites. So fishing past your feed, that's been quite key since the fish have moved in. There goes another one. No massive rudd. I'm hoping to get in amongst some quite good ones today, but well, you might do later on. But plenty of those nice dumpy ones at the minute. They're all sort of 1 to 3 ounces, real good weight builders, you know. There's certainly plenty of them there. Just single pinky on the hook. Possibly think about moving up to a 20 hook in a bit, just because it will help you hit more bites, just because the hook's bigger. Allow you to swing in some slightly bigger fish. But at the minute, as carry on as I am, bladdering in these pinkies, fishing one on the hook off the bottom, and see where it takes us. Hopefully a few of those bigger rudd will move in. I want to give that small fish line a rest now. Just slowed up a little bit, and it's teamed up with a bit of cloud cover. I think my best chance of a big fish is going to be when I've got a bit of cloud cover, because it's ever so clear today. So I'm going to slip a lobworm on, get out there and try my luck. It's exciting this. I don't know whether it was going to go under or not, to be honest. So hope we get a great big Dame Judy on it. Let's lay it in. I'll lay the bulk in. I'm letting it all settle down now, because I'm not looking to catch any fish on the drop on this rig. I'm looking to lay it in, get to the bottom and hold it as still as I can over the bait. I might lift and drop it now and again, but hold it as still as I can. Well, as still as I can in this wind anyway. So I've got about 6 inches of line on the bottom. Give myself the best chance of counteracting these little breezes. I think I'll give this about a 5-minute go on this line. If I don't get a bite, it's normally pretty instant if there's a good one there, to be fair. You know, they're wild fish, they're eating fish. And obviously, because they're big fish, they're greedy fish, so you normally catch one if there's one there pretty quick, to be fair. So give it about 5 minutes, which will in turn give them a little fish line a rest. 5 minutes without a bite, we'll feed a bit more bait, but hopefully, you never, oh, got a little indication here actually. Nice fish, not a massive fish, but nice perch by the look of it. Get him in, and I will have another go because I've had an indication. Better net him, a bit bigger than I thought, to be honest. A nice perch, not to be sniffed at. Not the tench we were after, but better than nothing. Getting a big edge in this sort of fishing is very hard, but if you get lots of small little edges, they all add up at the end of the day, and then all of a sudden you have got a big edge. So the way I look at things, I try to fish more positively. I fish with bigger hooks than most, bigger droppers. You're going to see your bites quicker, catch more fish, slightly heavier elastic so you can swing slightly bigger fish in, and you add all those little things up, all of a sudden you've got a big edge. So I've had a couple more little perch on this line. Doesn't look like I'm going to get a big fish on it, to be honest. As soon as you start getting a few indications from little uns, that says to me there's not a decent fish there. So give it another minute or so, and then I'll be back on those rudd. But I will feed it again just in case I do need to go back on it. You never know. Pike might move into that swim where the rudd are and just completely knock it for 6. So it's definitely worth keeping your second option, as in this line, open, that's for sure. Making changes throughout your session, big or small, is key to success whenever you're out on the bank. And today's been no different. Depth has been a big one today for me. Started off fishing on the bottom, had a good run of fish, then I noticed the fish were moving up in the water, so I've moved my float down, fishing quite way off bottom now, and the fishing's better than it has been throughout the day. But it doesn't mean you can stop there. You're going to have to make other changes as well. You're going to have to change your feed, change your hook bait. Probably not my shotting today because of the way the rig's working, nice, but other days you might have to jiggle your shot around. So keeping on your toes, making changes all day is going to lead to a better day all round. So we're back on this small fish line after having a go for a spawny big one. Didn't get a big one, unfortunately, but what it has allowed us to do is tee up this small fish line for a good finish. The bite chuck there now because it's been rested. Should have a really nice finish to the session. If this was a match, you'd just be topping up your catch fishing like this now, just trying to get as many small fish in your net as possible before the end of the day. But no, all in all, it's been an interesting day. It's not been one to chuck all day, granted it's one to chuck now, but early on the fish were very small, not millions of bites. Then the fish got a bit bigger, but you had to work a bit harder for them, change your float about a bit. But once these rudder moved in, it's been great sport. Always worth having a go on that big fish line, as I was saying before. It's another day you might get 3 bites for £10 on that, so it's definitely worth having in your armoury. We'll keep on going now to the end of the session on this, see what we can put in the net and have a look come the end. Bit of a bigger one. Today's session's been a perfect example of why I love coming to places like this. You just don't know what's going to happen. We thought we'd catch a few small fish to start with, then top up with a couple of big ones. We haven't caught any big fish, but we've caught a load of little ones really attacking the peg with loads of bait. It's not to say on another day, feeding it slightly differently, you wouldn't have caught a few big ones. You just don't know. But being positive all the way along the line, you give yourself the best chance. Right up my street, this sort of fishing.